One of the biggest lessons that you can learn in life is to compromise. Whether it's personally or professionally, romantically or with your friends. Sometimes it's better to accept that you're just not going to get everything that you want. And depending on the situation, maybe one has to compromise more than another. Except if you're the Montreal Canadiens. Because this idea right here is so interesting, it is absolutely the opposite of compromise. It's just Montreal gets everything that they want. Let's dive into an article here published on HabsFanatics.com by Elias Ediem from Friday. Jean-Charles Lajoie proposes an interesting trade to bring the 5th overall pick to the Montreal Canadiens. Okay, great. 5th overall pick. What crazy idea does JIC go out there and talk about? Well, the article goes out there and cites a recent episode of the TVA Sports program, where Jean-Charles Lajoie went out there and suggested that Kent Hughes could potentially trade both the 16th and 17th overall picks in the 2025 draft to move up in the draft and get a chance to select none other than Caleb Desnoyers. Now, quick aside, yes, we've discussed this at length multiple times, but the Habs do have the 16th and 17th overall picks. 16th was from the Sean Monahan trade ample years ago. The 17th overall pick was their own. And the 5th overall pick belongs to the Nashville Predators, one of the worst teams in the National Hockey League, who ended up losing out on the draft lottery, slipping from 3 to 5. This is what Jean-Charles Lajoie goes out there and proposes. A trade between the Habs and the Predators where the Canadiens would get the 5th overall pick and Jonathan Marchessault in exchange for 16th and 17th. Bruh. Is Jonathan Marchessault's contract really that big of a deal that now it's being seen as this huge anchor? I get it. The guy's 34 years old. He is certainly in the last stages of his NHL career. He may not even get another contract after the contract that he is on expires. That's very well possible. But by golly gee, is this guy's $5.5 million AAV salary that bad that you're willing to attach it with a 5th overall pick to get rid of it? Now, I say it like that. It's not like they are trading this away for future considerations. No, they'd be getting some stuff in return. 16th and 17th overall. That's not nothing. But still, I am a lot more optimistic on a guy like Jonathan Marchessault, who is just 2 years removed from winning the gosh darn MVP of the playoffs. Point per game stud in 22 games as the Golden Knights won their first Stanley Cup championship. An original misfit who is just 1 year removed from a 69-point season. He had 56 points this recent season. That's not bad. The Preds sucked, if you couldn't already tell. Would it not be reasonable to assume that on a team with a little bit more offensive capability, Jonathan Marchessault would actually find a role getting maybe 60, 65 points on a year again? The guy had 42 goals in the final season of his Vegas Golden Knights career. So what if he's 34? He's a Conn Smythe winner who had 40 goals a year ago. That's all the more reason to think that there's probably a bounce back still within this guy's frame. Like, I get it, you can say, oh, he had a down year. But what, that down year still saw him get 21 goals and 50 points? If anything, you can say that a 50-point player making $5.5 million a year is fair. And if you wanted to give that benefit of the doubt, oh, I believe it's there. I believe you could very well say that this guy has been the exception to the rule of aging out in the NHL and probably still having a scoring touch at the age that he is at. And this article, this JIC trade proposal is saying that the Canadiens could get Marchessault and the 5th overall pick for 16 and 17? Bruh. Are you serious, bruh? I guess. The perspective here is that Marchessault's contract is really that much of an anchor, And he is that old, so maybe there could be some willingness from the Predators to shell away from that deal as quickly as possible. And if the Preds do want to go through a direction of rebuilding or retooling, whatever word you want to use, in a season where they've still got Stamkos, they got Marchessault, they got all these older guys, if they want to change direction so suddenly, you can open the door up to the idea of a Marchessault trade. It's already been discussed at heavy lengths throughout other capacities on the NHL social media world. But the question here is, hey, if he does end up getting traded somewhere, there have already been reports saying that he only wants to go to a team with no state tax. That automatically eliminates Montreal, right? It eliminates every Canadian team, essentially, because state tax? Oh yeah, he doesn't want that, let alone Canadian provincial tax. It's an entirely different animal when you talk about players getting traded to Canada. But in a trade like this, 16 and 17 for 5 and Jonathan Marchessault, like, this would be an absolute no-brainer for the Montreal Canadiens, right? JIC, man, come on. Why make this entire trade idea a talking point when it's so obviously put in Montreal's favor here? What, you're gonna say the Habs are gonna utilize that 16th and 17th overall pick in any meaningful way in the next few years? What, they need more guys like Owen Beck and Philip Machar in the system and not just be happy with the guys they already got right now? They need a top 6 winger. Marchessault can be that. If you wanted to give Laine sheltered minutes on the third line, I get it, it's not ideal to have an $8.7 million guy on your third line, but sheltered minutes, top power play minutes, or if you wanted to keep him on power play too, because you're going to have that same 5, Demidov, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Suzuki, and Hudson on the first power play, have Marchessault setting up Laine on power play too, for crying out loud. There would be so much for Montreal to gain alongside the 5th overall pick for Caleb Denoyer that, I don't know, is just kind of a ridiculous idea. That's why I wanted to make a video about it. For what it's worth, the article, which, you know, it's not going to go out there and say fully, oh yeah, I agree with it, but the article says here, the idea is to give the Preds a chance to unload Marchessault's entire salary. The fact that he's 34 and he'll be 38 at the end of the deal might be understandably concerning for some, as they see him potentially becoming a burden for the organization. But, as Lajoie points out, if the cost for acquiring a top talent like Denoyer is taken on Marchessault, you have to jump at the opportunity, even if he's only 5'9". See, like, why do people keep on talking about this guy like he's a bum? He had 56 points. That's not bad. 5'9", 34 years old, who cares? He scored. He had 40 goals last year. Okay, we're going in circles. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the idea of the Montreal Canadiens taking on Jonathan Marchessault and the 5th overall pick for their 2 firsts this year. Am I the only one who thinks this is a ridiculously stacked trade idea for Montreal? They get a player that can help them out. They get a player that can be very useful in the next little while. And sure, Marchessault's $5.5 million till 2029 might not seem like a great deal when he's 37 years old, but $5.5 million, bro. The cap's rising up. That contract's not going to be worth nothing. Okay, maybe not nothing, but it's not going to be as bad as I think people are saying it is, especially when this guy's already so good. He is the exception to the rule, Marchessault seems to be at this point. And so, with all that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your opinions about Marchessault and 5 for 16 and 17? If you're a Predators fan, does this trade idea offend you? If you're a Habs fan, are you chomping at the bit to get it done? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.